Hello, everyone. I'm Plasmoyers. You may like to call me that guy with the afro. So, this is part two of my volunteering series. What the convention should expect you to do as you volunteer for con. Now, part one, we discussed what you should expect from the convention. And again, every convention is different, everyone's going to have different rules. But in general, things that you should expect were in part one, things that the convention should expect in part two, and part three should be what kind of conventions or how you should act at a convention in general as a volunteer should be. Now, allow me to make this very clear. I've been doing this for nearly a decade. My first convention volunteering was in 2010. So I'm here been doing this for a long time. I've seen some conventions really screw up on this. So I want to make sure we understand that you're also expected to do things as a con volunteer. And that should be something to take in consideration no matter what happens. So keep in mind, just because you're a volunteer, you're not going to have the full and final authority over everything. That's something you should keep in mind as we go along with this. The convention should never expect you to be that kind of person. However, in general, there are some things you need to understand before you sign on the dotted line. And the first thing a convention should expect from you is know your limits. Let me make it very clear. If you have a disability, like I'm autistic, I'm really annoyed when I don't focus on something and just keep on going on, doing nothing, sitting there, just looking at things. It's just my brain does not want to stop. It really doesn't. It likes to keep moving. I like to keep thinking. And the moment things start to slow down, I get really, really antsy and I really can't keep still very long. And that's part of how I am. And that's why I always like to move around. So you have to understand the first thing you need to tell your convention what you cannot do at all. Let me make it clear. It's not an insult to you. This is not what I'm talking about. This is what are you capable of? Take care of yourself, take care of your body, make sure you're right. They expect you to do that. Dragon Con's rule, particularly, has been 6 hours of sleep every day, 2 meals every day. They changed it from three, which, that's okay, and one shower every day. And that sounds about right for most part. Um, but if you need more than that, you need to make sure it's known. Pretty simple. I mean, you need to take care of you. I'll make it this simple. Remember in the Ten Commandments when Moses said, when he was being judged by Pharaoh about the brick, the strong make many, the weak make few, the dead make none. So we'd rather you be strong, generally speaking, as con goers, than you be weak. So if you're in a situation where you feel like you're not going to be able to take care of it, get out of that situation. Also, be prepared for things to change. I get conventions can be very much in flux, and I'm used to that, but you should also understand there are going to be moments where you can't get away. That's just how it's going to be. So make sure you understand you take care of you first and then let the rest happen. Next thing a convention should expect from you is know what you're doing. Pretty simple. Don't be stupid and be that guy who doesn't ask questions. Don't know what you're going through. Don't know where the location of this is. Don't know how to move this product, put together these pieces. Make sure you know what you're doing. Now, this doesn't mean completely blind, I'm the natural at everything, and then boom, done. That's not going to work. If you don't know what you're going to be doing in your process, then the rest of your group's going to suffer no matter what. Thursdays on conventions usually a lot of manual labor, and you have to understand at that point you need to make sure you know what to put piece A and piece B and piece C to make object D. And sometimes it's about heavy lifting and making sure all the spots are put correctly. There's a lot of tape, a lot of tables, a lot of pipes, a lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of connectors. You don't have to do any hammering or nails, thank goodness. There are going to be guests that need to be moved around. You have to make sure they're in the right position. You have to make sure they're given the right equipment for whatever they need, especially when you're doing panels. Make sure you understand what you need to do and how to do it. Now, if you don't, you can ask questions. Usually the con's going to help you out that way. Just make sure you know where you need to be and how it's supposed to all go down. The problem with this, if you don't, of course, not only is it going to delay things, you've got to remember there are hundreds of people depending on that one thing that might happen. And you've got to understand it's not like, oh, this has got to go on no matter what, and someone else will do it. That's just not going to work. Don't come with the attitude problem. That should be a thing that you should understand immediately. Another thing a convention should expect from you, and this is important, is be on time. I mean, it sounds stupid to hear this. Well, if things get pushed around a lot, but really, it's one of those things you have to be there on time. In fact, arrive 15 minutes early, not necessarily to start, because someone else is going to have to do things. Like I said about what you should expect from a convention, this cannot be understated because you want to go to that event, right? Well, somebody wants to go to an event during this time, right? So now you got to be understanding that you need to be there so that person can go do what they want. Generally speaking, I do a lot of my stuff whenever I do any kind of panels or any kind of events, typically on Sundays. I mean, it's Sunday, 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 because a lot of my stuff is into the con stuff. A lot of what you should do at this event, or should you get one get together for everybody. It's just into the con. Everybody wants to have one last bit of fun or whatever. And so I usually have to be out a lot on Friday and Saturday. So I know that's the time where everyone else wants to do things. Typically, I don't need to do as much, but I want to do what I can when I can. And I'm sure someone else wants to do the same thing. So don't be late. Pretty simple. Yeah, I know there are things that you want to do, but you should expect to hang out with your friends. You should expect to have fun, and you should expect to understand so does everyone else. And I'll get to that point what things the con should not expect you to do in a moment. The next thing a convention should expect you to do is, oh, I need to know something on this app here. Can you direct me? You don't need to have all the answers, but you need to at least direct them in the right place when it comes to attendees. When someone asks you a question, I don't know, but I can help you look it up. I can at least show you where this is going to be. If they have an app, it's an app for everything. I have an app for a lot of different things. Heck, I have an app for apps. I know, it's crazy. I can order McDonald's on my phone now. But generally speaking, you should at least know where to find something. You should at least say, okay, I might not know exactly, but we can find this out. Also, be courteous to people if they're asking questions. Don't be that guy like, oh, I don't know how to talk to you. I don't know. I'll go find someone else. That's not how you should operate. A convention should never see that from you. Again, one of those things, just no drama, don't be a jerk. The case of this was, of course, I don't know half of what I should know about activities at DragonCon. I'll be very honest with you. 90% of the time, I'm usually outside as you walk into registration, particularly on Friday. And I'm the guy with the megaphone telling you which line to go to for pre-registration and on-site. So I don't know a lot of what's going on, when, what time, this is here, that's there, this is what. So I, of course, usually take time to look at the app and say, here's what I can show you. Now, I don't get as many of those questions when I'm out there doing that direction point, but it's a point to make note of. If you don't know, don't just say, I don't know how to help you. You can figure it out. At least direct them in the path of where to go, right? Right. That's simple. And Everyone's got their phone pretty much, or at least you can get a program of some sort to direct them in that way. So never just say, I don't know. Have a general idea of what's going on to help the attendees, not just for yourself. Now, one final thing a convention should expect you to do is, you know what? I'm going to be honest here. I don't know a lot about comic books at all. I have no clue about the knowledge of any general Game of Thrones thing. You can tell me what happened with the Starbucks cup, and I wouldn't have a dang clue what you're talking about. A convention should at least expect you to try. Try to get some kind of idea of what this is, why this is happening at this point. You don't have to be the grandmaster strategy Jeopardy type of person that knows every detail about Batman. Okay, I don't. But you should at least have a basic understanding of your source material with a convention. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Sure, I don't know anything about comic books, but at least I get some kind of understanding of who this is and why this happened. Ignorance of a convention theme is not a good thing. Of course, anime this, anime that. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what Hunter x Hunter is nowadays. I know who did it. I know who's that person's wife who did that thing. But you ask me what this character is, I don't have a clue. But at least I know what you're talking about. That's what I'm saying. Some kind of understanding so you can interact with the fans a lot better would be great. Always interact with the fans. That's another thing the convention should expect you to do in a positive way. I've already said about the negativity part, but always try to at least learn, expand. You don't have to be the expert of everything, but at least get what's going on. Now, as for things the convention should never expect you to do, number one, right off the bat, a convention should never expect you to drop your free time for them. I've already said this about changing the schedule and all that. If you're in a position where you cannot be there, okay, they shouldn't force you to be at a convention that you can't make a certain time. I always say 6 hours a convention day for many reasons. This is one of them because you need your time not only at the convention, but to sleep, eat, take a shower, get ready for the next day, go back out, repeat, repeat. Um, if a convention is making you stay longer than you can physically stay, then that's a problem. If a convention is switching you in position where you're not supposed to be, I understand they may need help here, but you shouldn't be forced to do something that you're not going to like. I told everybody, don't put me in a chair and make me sit and watch things. Some people like to do that. That's not a good idea. I hate sitting down and doing absolutely zero. At least I'm talking to you guys while I'm making these videos. It's just they should never expect you to take away more of your time for them if you can't handle it. I mean, they might have you stay an extra 30 minutes. That's fine. But if they're like, no, I need you here all day on this day, which you're not scheduled for, I'm sorry, you're going to have to work that out with somebody else. Another thing a convention should never expect you to do is be in a position where you're not human. Um, I got sick last Dragon Con. I was ill. I couldn't eat anything at all without having to run to the bathroom 5 minutes later. I mean, nothing solid. And it carried on Saturday, Sunday, a lot of Monday. I didn't even know I was going to the after party on Monday. I was that sick. Literally, anytime I tried to eat anything that wasn't yogurt, straight to the bathroom. And that's how it was for a good part of 48 hours. I don't know if it was a stomach bug or what. At least it got to a point where I could settle down. And I was still not feeling 100% even when I came back home. So I hate to say this. Things happen. It's out of our control. You get ill. And God forbid I pray that something major doesn't happen to you, somebody you know, like your family or your friends, and all of a sudden you have to run out the door. I understand that. That's one of the things convention should never just say, "Oh well, sorry, you're here until the con's over." Haha. If you're a human being, you understand this. You have to go out and take care of your business. I get that. Another thing a convention should never expect you to do is do things outside the con's hours. If they want to have you on as a staff member or something else, okay. If they want you to do any kind of work for them other than what is at a convention, that's perfectly fine if you want to. But they should never tell you, hey, I need you to do this 3 months after the con because of this. If you want to and you volunteer them, talk to the convention itself. Don't have them come to you, go to them. That's what I would say. Also, in that sense, I'm I'm gonna say it like I said it before. I'm a big fan of the Pathfinder Society. I've been so importantly big on that for the past 5 years. I'm not saying this just because Pathfinder Society, you're a gamer. I mean, they're a great group of people. And in this case, last year, I was again involved with Pathfinder Society at Comic Palooza. I kept telling Delta HCon, you guys need to talk to them and you guys need to get to them and you need to work something out. It did not happen, but it's like, okay, thanks for talking to them. I'm not going to politic for them. I'm sorry. My job was over. And the only reason why I did that is because they were talking to me like, we want to do this, we want to do that. Okay, look, you guys can get together and deal with it. I'm not here to help you guys. I'm sorry on both sides. It's just not. I can't help you. I don't work in events and I'm not here as a venture captain. If you know what I'm talking about, then thank you. Give a like, share, subscribe. Please do. I really would appreciate that. But generally speaking, a convention should never have you do something that is way outside the convention's realm. They should not also, in that sense, make you do something to touch somebody, perform first aid if you're not certified. They should never have you break up a fight or have you set limits on somebody who has too much to drink. Let the law handle that. Okay? Let the professionals handle that. If they do that, you're liable for a lot of things. And that's a dangerous point of view that, sure, you can do that if you really want to, but then you're the one responsible. It's out of the convention's hands. So that's kind of a double point to it. If the convention isn't able to do that part, they call the people up, do that. So you shouldn't have to worry about that yourself. Now, this is the one that's going to hurt some people watching this because this one I was told before. The final thing a convention should never expect you to do is give your honest opinion about what's going on. I hate to say this, but I'm the kind of person who I even spoke about this in my Sandwich Fan Does Not Care video. The convention does not want you to say anything at all negative about the convention. Like they don't want you to talk about this person said that or Justin Surface is mad at you because you're the one trying to tell people about how he's shady business deals, tried to ruin a few other corporations in that mall. I've heard a lot of stories. I don't know all of them, but I do know of one which I'm not going to bring out loud. I'm not saying it's all true, except for that one. Look, if a convention is expecting you not to talk about the convention, there's something going on. And again, no con is perfect. There will never be a convention that's super amazing, special, awesome, that everyone's going to be rainbows and sunshine and golden teeth. I need to brush mine. Generally speaking, a convention should never force you to be their subject. That's basically what it boils down to. Free speech is free speech. And I'm not here trying to bash every con I've ever been to, because that's not me. So if they're going to have you do that, that's a big red flag about what you're able to do. Now, let me make sure you understand this. I'm not saying go out on Twitter and say, "Ooh, con sucks, send." That's a different story. If you have something there that you have a genuine concern, you should take it up with the staff. If they're not answering that concern, then you need to tell other people and try to bring that up louder. But don't go out there and say, "Oh, this is the worst con ever," when all of a sudden you have 500 autographs and a picture of Stan Lee. Rest in peace, my friend. It's hanging on your wall because of that convention. Generally speaking, if they say don't talk about this as a convention, I'm not saying don't talk about what happened in hotel room number 14. I'm not saying don't talk about how this person said, I have that much going on here. If you want to talk about that on your own, oh, by all means. But if it's a convention thing, if it's literally something that the con is doing that is visible and or you feel like it needs to be fixed, that's a different story altogether. Justin Surface. Or let me be more detailed. Anime Matsuri. You may stop your booze now. I know you want to. I've said it for years. It's just a terrible convention, and we've always had that thing going on. I don't know who it was. We don't know. We still to this day don't know the name of this person, but they allowed somebody to basically hijack panels wearing a Nazi uniform. Now, allow me to make it very clear. I'm not saying blah, blah, blah shouldn't have free speech rights either, but that's the kind of setting you don't want your convention to have. You need to speak out about that point. I give you that one. That was obvious, but nobody seemed to be able to do it at the convention's behest. So when they say don't talk about it, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It can help the convention as much as it can hurt the convention. In that case, it really hurt the con because the people who are running those panels originally are friends of mine. I'm not going to name their names out loud, but it's one of those moments of just no. No, you don't let that happen. Somebody had to say, I don't condone this, and I haven't to this day seen that. Well, then again, it's run by John Lay. Yeah. I'll say it again. It's not just the Lolita scandal. But yeah, if you have something that needs to be addressed, you have to address it. I mean, don't do it because the con is bad. Don't do it because you want to slander somebody. Do it because it needs to be heard. And more importantly, because the con shouldn't expect you not to talk about what's going on, know that free speech, and this is going to be my final point, free speech is not a license to say whatever you want to without repercussions. I'm not here talking about free speech is this, free speech is that. I'm not here talking about you should worry about you shouldn't worry about the police or the law or slander or all this or that. Um, Again, the problem with what I'm going to say is a very touchy point, and I am First Amendment guy all the way through. I believe in free speech, but I don't believe in bad speech. And I don't mean hate speech as the way of, oh, I'm talking about this Democrat. Please get off your freaking high horse about that. I'm sorry. If they're not out there trying to advocate violence, literally trying to shoot somebody, then that's not hate speech, buddy. I'm sorry. If it's building a wall, that's not hate speech. If it's saying people need to pay their fair share, that's not hate speech. So, I just feel like, and this is going to be the end of it, cons should not silence free speech. It should be a free speech universe. And my personal experiences with convention aside, I feel like this is a good time to talk about this. I get how people can get touchy feely about politics and religion and all that, but I know I'm going off track here. we don't need to be so hostile toward each other about it. Um, we don't need to be so hostile about talking about what we want to, you know? And I've always said this, don't end your fandom at the end of the convention. Make sure other people hear about what you like. Make sure other people hear about what you did that weekend. Make sure other people hear about how you want to showcase this to the rest of the world. Even if you're not an artist or a cosplayer or you're like me or a general gamer, um, go out there and do that. And I think that's one of those things where a convention should not be hostile about, even if it's against their own work. I mean, heck, I can do a bunch of panels on how Anime Matsuri was so terrible from 2006 on in. But we should not silence people on speech at all. I don't care what side of the spectrum you are in. And I'll just end it in here. I do not want to be that guy to tell you that you can't talk about certain things, that you shouldn't talk about certain things, but understand that your words do have consequences. I mean, look at the whole Vic Mignogna saga with Monica Rial. Just understand when you say something, people will hear it. Whether that's good or bad is up to you and how the people listen to you. I mean, I've a lot about it on this channel, but try to say the good things. Try to say things that are right, not necessarily positive, but at least right, so people can hear them. And don't bash somebody because they want to talk about it. Now, I'm going to stop getting preachy. I'm going to stop telling you everything on this video because it's already almost 25 minutes, 28 minutes long. So you didn't come here for a political lesson, but you did come here to listen, and I appreciate you. I would also appreciate if you like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also, donate to my PayPal at plasmawarrior2002@gmail.com. Because, as I said in my last video, I'm not getting a lot of work from my job. I really, really would need help here, and I'm not trying to just ask people for money. And I understand there are people who do things better than I can in some other instances. I just want you to understand that this is what I want to do. I want to talk about conventions. This is what I want to use my free speech about. This is what I want to bring to you guys. And I hope to continue doing that. And I hope to keep doing that at conventions too. So they cost money and I could use the exposure. In any case, later.